What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dental Pipeline podcast. I'm Russell Bodley and here with my co host, Sam Jolly. Today, we have some pretty exciting stuff. We're starting off our very first season. The first two episodes were kind of just to get the ball rolling. We wanted to talk about some things that we think are important to dentistry and kind of give some pointers on what the podcast is all about. And so, this is the official first episode of our first season. We would like to call it the playbook or the dental playbook, which is it's going to be a roadmap to dental school. So this is for all of the pre-dental students and any of you that are in dental school. If you have any pre-dental friends, get this over to them because this is going to be really helpful for them.
For sure, yeah. No, when we were thinking of what to name this show, actually, one of our ideas was the Pre-Dental Playbook. But as we thought about it, we want this show to not just begin and end with pre-dental. We want this to continue through and have room to grow in the future to continue this community of collaboration we're hoping to create here. So we decided on the dental pipeline, but the Pre-Dental Playbook just sounds so good. So we're excited to dive right in and just do a brief overview of what we kind of have planned for this season or series, and we're going to go through and fill you in. So what you'll see on your screen if you're watching on YouTube is you'll see this image we created, and it has 8 points on it, and we're just going to hit through really quickly in this episode today. Our goal is to just do a brief run through so you can see what we have planned for future episodes. And the reason we're doing it this way a little bit, and we want you to be able to recognize what we're doing in the future is for you more than anything to be able to send us questions that you may have at specific points along this path. So we're going to be starting with number 1, but as we move along, if you have questions regarding applying to dental school that you want us to definitely hit along this way, send them our way. And as we collect more questions from you, we're going to eventually just release Q&A episodes where we're just going to take your questions that you've sent to our email and then respond to them there. So feel free to add your questions in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or feel free to email us at thedentalpipeline@gmail.com, which we will go ahead and include in our show notes that you can find there. But to begin, Russell, where are we starting this pre-dental playbook? Where's step 1 for us?
Well, step one starts in high school. I mean, honestly, it starts wherever you are. But for us, we're going to kind of start it off in high school. So on the picture, I just have it pulled up right here. So I'm just looking at it. The first point is what courses to take and the study strategies that go with that. With that, this kind of fully encompasses high school and undergrad. So kind of those first steps on what you need to do to get to dental school. And so we're going to start off with high school. We're going to talk a little bit about what to do if you know that you want to be a dentist, if you're set on that and you just know that's your calling. You've kind of already found your why while you're in high school and you're gung ho for that path. So we're going to give you a couple of pointers for while you're in high school, and then we're going to move on from there. Do you have anything else to add there, Sam?
No, I think it's great. And I think point 2, 3, and 4, and maybe even 5 even, all are happening kind of at the same timeline. Like there will be a lot of overlap. For example, the extracurricular and undergraduate activities we have as number 2 on this list, on this roadmap or playbook, you'll be wanting to do throughout high school, throughout college. And we're going to do specific episodes for that because of how important it is. And that's why we're kind of separating it out, because it is a big deal and it requires its own episode, I think, to go in and look at the intricacies of extracurricular activities, service, dental shadowing, all of those things. And so and including, I think maybe a few things we're looking to include in those episodes in particular is our dental related activities, service, leadership, research. And just ensuring that as you are applying or as you're getting ready to apply, you take good notes, how to take good notes for that. And we actually will be publishing or posting a spreadsheet that we're going to make that you can use for that purpose of keeping track of extracurricular hours, service, dental shadowing, research, all of that. So you can have that handy for your application.
Yeah, and we can't harp on that enough. Keeping track is key. It's going to save you a ton of headaches when you're actually applying for dental school. Honestly, it's going to help you streamline getting in and doing the AdSAS. We're going to talk a lot about that in some future episodes. So that kind of covers some of those first couple of points. We're going to do some episodes that are specific on study strategies for the DAT and how Sam and we both studied slightly differently for it, but we're going to talk a little bit about how we did it and maybe some of the things that we would have changed if we had to do it again. So that's really the whole point of this whole season is we want to give you some insights into what we did and some things that we would have changed or some things that we think are really non-negotiables if you want to get in pretty fast. The next would just be going into how to apply for dental school. We're going to go through the application, walk you step by step through that. I guess with the DAT as well, there's a pretty big complicated process to apply for the DAT. And so we're going to actually share our screen and walk you through how to apply for it because that would have been really nice for us if we would have had somebody walking us through that. I mean, obviously we know that we're all big boys and girls and we can do it ourselves, but it's sometimes kind of nice to have somebody walk you through it so you can kind of go back and just check that out. So that was some of our thoughts on that.
For sure. And when Russell mentioned that all of this leads up and builds to that number 4 spot we have on this image of applying for dental school. You take the DAT, you work hard in your studies, you do the extracurriculars and all these undergraduate activities so that your application looks pristine. So that when anyone sitting down and looking at your application sees the things you've done, sees the things you've accomplished, and your plans for the future, it'd be a no-brainer to accept you into their program. And so with applying to dental school, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of things to consider. Just to name off a few, you can look into applying to both Texas schools and through AdSAS. We'll mainly focus on AdSAS when we go through. We'll use their online platform because that's where all the other dental schools are. But I also have a Texas dental school application. I can show you what that looks like briefly. And we'll go through important dates, what schools to apply to, what to include in your application, how to describe experiences, writing your personal statement, what should be included in a letter of recommendation, how do I ask for a letter of recommendation, should I include a committee letter, when should I apply, and all these things just kind of bake into that bigger pie of that number 4, applying to dental school. And it's a lot. That's actually most of the questions. One of the big reasons why we felt inspired to start this podcast is because so many people recently, with it being a heavy application phase, have been sending both Russell and I lots of questions, trying to figure out what they should include, what they shouldn't include in their application. So we're going to hit that pretty hard, but we want to do it rather than doing it right now. We're holding off to do it. So that way, people that come and listen to our podcast will have some more time to digest it and apply it earlier rather than applying late at this point. It would already be late information. So, and that's where that brings us to number 5, which is pretty brief. Russ, do you want to tell us a little bit about secondary applications and then also financial aid and scholarships, those 5 and 6 points there?
Yeah, so once you've applied for dental school, any of the schools that are going to be interested in you, they're going to most likely send you a secondary application and ask you a couple of questions, follow-up questions to the initial application. And sometimes you have to write an essay or two for the school, or sometimes it's really just they reach out to you and have you pay a couple of extra dollars to ensure that they know you're actually serious about this application. And so they just want to gauge where you're at and see how ready you are and how serious you are about this path. So that's kind of what the secondary applications are. We'll go into a little bit more depth with that in that episode. And then we go on to that financial aid and scholarships. This is probably going to be broken into a couple of episodes. We're going to talk about private scholarships, the HPSP or Health Profession Scholarship Program, National Health Service Corps, the Indian Health Service Scholarship Program. And we're going to probably bring a couple of people on to collaborate with us on these. Both Sam and I uh, are on the Health Professions Scholarship Program through the military. And so we have some insight on there. And then we're going to bring some of our friends from dental school who are on some of these other scholarships. Uh, we're going to walk through the financial aid, especially with the big, beautiful bill. Things have changed a lot. My class, everyone is on governmental or not scholarships, but funding. But the Sam's class is, and everyone following is now going to have to take out private loans. So the loans situation is going to be very different in how you go about that, how you go and get those loans. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about those points as well. So you can be a little bit prepared for that.
I like to think of getting into dental school as just a bunch of phases, right? I mean, hence the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? We have this sequence that we follow to get through. And I think ultimately we do all these things in undergrad, and we do all these things obviously because we enjoy serving people and doing good in the community, but to better that application so that we get an interview. And then once we interview, we try to interview our best so that we get accepted. So your application, more than anything, it will be weighed into determining whether you get accepted in the school. But more than anything, your application is a hurdle you're trying to overcome to get to that interview where you can really impress and create connections that will benefit you through the rest of the application cycle. People I was able to interview with, or people that interviewed me, I was able to get their contact information, not only thank them, but stay in touch with them. So that way, if I had questions and wanted to say, hey, how's the application going? And just more than anything, help them remember me, because they are seeing a ton of applications and a ton of people, even for interviews. That went a long way. Helped me, I think, secure seats in a lot of in the dental schools I was accepted to, because I kept that open line of communication that I could develop through interviews. So we're going to tell you a little bit about the mindset you should have going into an interview, how to practice for an interview skills, but then also how to maintain that relationship you develop at interview through the rest of the cycle, so you can use it to your benefit to get accepted into your desired program. So interviews is huge, and that'll be 1 or 2 episodes in and of itself, just to try and teach you and provide you with the practice necessary to get that down, because it will be super important. And then ultimately, we do all of this so you get accepted into a school, and then hopefully multiple schools, so you have the hard decision of picking which one. And Russ, you wanna dive in just as we're finishing up this episode and talking about that? What are your thoughts there on getting accepted and doing that?
Yeah. So selecting a school can either go one of two ways. It can be really easy because you get into one school. That was me. I applied to 3 programs and I got accepted into one. Or you can throw a big net out and be accepted into a lot of different schools, and you get that hard decision of which school is the best for me. So we're going to talk about some of the cost analysis that you can go into, and deciding, is a 3-year program or 4-year program better for me, what the locations look like. We're going to just kind of dive into all of that kind of stuff. And then we're also going to probably do an episode by itself that talks about, if things don't go as planned and you don't get in, what are some other options worth considering, and what do I do at that point? Because at the end of the day, not everybody's going to get in. It's a really rigorous process to apply and get into a dental school program, and not everybody does. I think the school that I got into, I think it was about a 6% acceptance rate when I got accepted, and now it's even smaller because there's more and more people applying every single year. So it's hard, and not everybody's going to get in, and that's just the reality. We're just here to help you have the best chance that you can to get in yourself.
But yeah, it's crazy to think that actually schools now, I just barely looked it up and was able to do a little research. Just this last cycle, there was an observed 11.5% increase in applicants And granted, new schools are coming out every year, but 11%, that's significant. And there actually was a decline. I don't know how much, but there's a decline in how many applicants there were to medical school. So not that I'm saying everyone's figuring it out and realizing, man, dental's the way to go, but it appears to be that dental is becoming a more sought after profession across the board. And because of that, naturally we'll get more competitive and it'll be harder to get those spots. So yeah, don't feel bummed if you don't get in, or if you're playing that waiting game and you didn't hear on decision day in December and you're still waiting to hear back from that school you applied to and loved your interview at. Hold out hope. And if it doesn't work out, we will talk about some strategies you can take if all else fails to make yourself look even more competitive for that next cycle to ensure you can get in. So yeah, that's pretty much everything we had planned for today. We're excited to dive into this new series and to walk through with you guys. Yeah, and anything else, Russ, is how are we feeling about that?
Just remember, we're not professionals, so take all of our advice with a grain of salt. Just we're hoping that this just kind of gets your mind rolling and gets you thinking so that you can become the best applicant that you can. Stay sweet, but not too sweet. Otherwise, you'll get some cavities. See you next time.